So I've drawn in my grid lines, and I did want to show you what I ended up doing. If you look, you can see that these two edges are like the lines don't, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then these are parts. And so what I did is I actually I started my measurement about exactly half an inch from the edge. I marked half an inch. Well, okay, I marked half an inch, I marked 2 inches, I marked 2 inches, I marked 2 inches. And you can see I screwed up at one point. I got confused. And can you see that? Those little extra marks, I messed up. I can just erase those. It's not a big deal. Now I want to show you how we're actually using this. So what I've done is I've created a small grid on my original image, and I've created a big grid on my illustration board. And I'm going to transfer this image to this image, but I'm using these guidelines as, well, guidelines, right? So it is sometimes helpful if you, for keeping track of where you're at, is if you label these. So I'm going to call these A, B, C. You don't have to do this. D, E, F, G. Don't forget what you're doing while you're doing it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that just helps me keep track of where I'm at. I can also do the same thing here. So very lightly, because you're going to want to erase this later, I'm labeling these A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got columns that are letters, and I've got rows that are numbers. So I want to start with the cat's face. So the cat's face is right here. The cat's face is in 2D. So I'm going to find 2D on here, and I'm sorry it's hard for you to see both of them when they're on this small camera space. But this line of the cat's head is about halfway across 2D. So I'm going to put that in there. Now I'm going to go look for a point that crosses the line here between D and E in 2. So this line here, the cat's ear is about maybe 2/3 of the way up. So I'm going to estimate it's about there. The cat's other ear is, let's see, a little bit higher than 2/3 on the other side. And then I can also try to estimate, okay, where exactly does the cat's ear start? Kind of right about there. I can also check where the cat's eye crosses back over. Now you probably are having trouble seeing this. I am actually having trouble seeing this because the printing isn't very good. But it looks like the cat's ear crosses here and right about at the line over here. So I can start to then sketch in the cat or the top of the cat's head based on that information from this original. And instead of trying to guess where this cat is in a whole sea of space, I can just look at these lines, and these lines help guide me to where things need to go. Sometimes it's also helpful to get I recommend you consider putting in the big details first. So let's figure out where this computer is. The computer corner starts in A3. And so if I made that actually look like a 3, it would probably help, but it starts right about there. So there's the corner of the computer, and then it comes down and crosses right about halfway. It looks like it ends down here just into 5B. So just about there. And then I can come back through later and maybe use a ruler, because I know it's probably a straight line. So I know I can use a ruler later on to help me put in that straight line. I can figure out where the other computer corner is, and that would be in F5. So F5 over here, it's in the bottom, here's halfway through that box. Can you see what I'm doing? Yes. Here's halfway through that box, so I'm going to come over, it's about there-ish, maybe a little closer. And again, I can come in with a ruler and get that straight line in there. Rulers work on computers and not so much on cats. But I can use these guidelines that I have here to work on this picture bit by bit. And what I'm doing is I'm translating the composition and the proportions, the sizes of things up here. And so when I get in with a ruler and make these lines a little bit nicer, I've got the cat at the right scale, and I've got the lines of the computer at the right scale. I'm going to continue to use this picture and the grids that I have to translate the image over here. And that's like I had done in the other image for the example video that we started with. For me, I'm not going to bother translating some of that stuff because remember, the eventual goal, I want to see that you know how to use the grid and make it work. But then we're going to be adding text. And so this space might be used for text. This space might be used for text. And of course, this would be a convenient place to put some text when I turn this into the project rather than the planning assignment.